Was good? He's not getting up, Jim. Boxing talk. Back with another quick one. Like, comment, subscribe, and feel free to share. Just real quick, wanted to touch on the Taylor versus Catterall fight. Just finished watching it for the first time. It is Monday night, so I didn't have much time to actually sit down and watch the fight. So it's my first time actually watching it, and went ahead and watched it with no sound. So I heard so much about the fight, and I didn't want any of the commentary or the crowd reactions or the referee. Nothing to kind of affect my own scoring. So I did score it myself, and I did have it scored. Did I have it? I had it scored 113 to 112 with Catterall for the win. And yeah, so basically I had Catterall winning the first two rounds, and Catterall winning the fourth, fifth, and sixth, and him winning the eighth round. And the other rounds were all Taylor. Let's see, minus the round where he got the point deducted. So basically, it all came down to 113 to 112 Catterall over Taylor. So real quick, I'm gonna just go ahead and get into it. I don't believe that fight was necessarily a robbery, even though I did have Catterall winning by 1 point. I feel like that robbery, the whole thing was kind of thrown around a little too much for this fight, because neither one of them looked spectacular. Catterall didn't beat up Taylor, in my opinion, and Taylor didn't beat up Catterall. Catterall did get that knockdown in the 8th round. It was a clean knockdown, but that was pretty much it. Other than that, Catterall had a pretty good jab throughout the fight, which Taylor couldn't seem to get around, which kind of helped him out. And a nice jab straight throughout most of the fight, jab straight that Taylor couldn't really get around. But other than that, it was kind of just a hug fest for the most part. Not much action. Taylor, he just seems like he went in there with one game plan and one game plan only, which was to bully him, get him against the ropes, get him in the corner, and try to load off. But Catterall was, you could say he was being smart, or he was just, I don't know how you want to put it, but Catterall was just every time he seen Taylor trying to get in there, he dropped that shoulder and get under him, because he's already the shorter fighter. So easily done. You drop that shoulder under a taller fighter, they can't really do much from that high, and that's what it seemed like Catterall was doing, which is a very frustrating thing to do to a fighter. I could see Taylor being very frustrated with that, because all it led to was a bunch of hugging. But Taylor did not look good at all. Like I said in the last video, after the fight, apparently, I didn't watch the post-fight, but I saw a couple clips where he admits that he felt like he was having trouble making the weight, and that he doesn't see himself fighting at 140 no more, going up to 147 for his next fight, which is probably, which I would say is smart of him. I don't give the excuse of the weight drainage. If he felt weight drained, I'm not going to use that as an excuse for why I had him losing. But I will say that kind of thing does affect fighters. You can't knock that out like it's not a thing. Fighters move up for a reason. Fighters don't feel comfortable at a certain weight after a while, having to drop all these pounds during training camp within weeks that's not easy after, especially the older you get. So, I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not using that as a total excuse, because I think Taylor went in there thinking that he was just going to pretty much mollywop Catterall, and that just wasn't going to happen. Catterall played it as Catterall basically used what Andre Ward would say, a lot of veteran moves, veteran technique with dropping that shoulder and hugging it out, making sure Taylor doesn't get himself in a position to throw those haymakers on him. So Catterall was smart to do that. I don't know if that was necessarily part of his game plan or it was just a stylistic thing with them two clashing. Both of them seeming to be more of a, I don't know. I couldn't even say Catterall is necessarily a slugger. I've never really seen him fight before, I'll admit that, so I can't say what kind of fighter he really is. I know I've seen him fight before, but didn't really pay attention to him, you know. So I can admit that, so I really don't know what kind of fighter he's known for normally, but he was kind of in this fight a 1-2 move, jab, jab. And like I said, when Taylor was coming in, he dropped that shoulder to keep Taylor from getting into position and setting his feet to throw those haymakers that he likes to throw so much when he gets you where he wants you. So with all that being said, like I said, I think Josh Taylor looked pretty horrible. I won't say that it was a robbery. I'll say that I would have been happy with the draw at worst. But I do have Catterall winning. Not by a lot. It was a close fight to me. I had Catterall winning. So I would have took a draw. It'd been okay with that. I don't feel like Taylor won, but Taylor was at home. Home crowd advantage, home field advantage, whatever you want to call it, home country advantage. You know, undisputed champion. Catterall didn't come in like he was trying to win the belts. He came in like he was trying to do enough. And you can't go into a championship fight in somebody else's backyard trying to take the belts in their backyard just looking to do just enough. You got to go in there and take the man out. You know, you're supposed to be you gotta be the lion in there. You gotta be the beast in there, ready to destroy whatever's in your way. And Catterall didn't go in there with that attitude necessarily. I didn't feel like he did, so you know, that's kind of on him. And my thoughts about Taylor from this point forward. He says he wants to go to 147. He said he'll give Catterall a rematch at 147. So basically, Catterall could take the rematch, but he ain't getting the belts. The belts is going to be left at 140 for whoever to jump up and grab. That will be where the rankings and everything come in. So I would suggest Catterall just stay at 140 and try to grab those belts one by one, or however he could accumulate them now that Taylor is going up to 147. And as far as Taylor going up to 147, I feel like I want to say that he's not going to be successful, but I'm not going to say that also. Well, I will say that he doesn't need to go in there looking for the big names. Don't look for no Crawford. Don't look for no Spence. Don't look for no Ortiz. Don't look for even Ennis, which I'm not a big believer in Ennis just yet. He's one of the new ones that's got a lot of fights, but I haven't seen him really struggle enough yet for me to say he's got what it takes, even when he's not comfortable. So haven't got there yet, but I do believe that he probably has it in him. You know, I'm pretty sure he does. I just need to see it for me to confirm. And before watching the fight, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. So a lot of people that I did talk to, a few people I talked to about the fight, I was like, I'm not going to jump to conclusions until I see the fight. So I'm not saying that Josh Taylor ain't going to have it for 147. I just don't think he needs to go jumping into no big names right away. I mean, maybe I'd like to see maybe him and Keith Thurman. That'd be a good one. I think Kell Brook is talking about he would like a chance at him, which I think will be a good come up for Josh Taylor as well. I can see him beating Kell Brook. I can see him. I don't know about Keith Thurman. If he goes in there like that, like he did with Catterall against Keith Thurman, he's not going to. Keith Thurman is smart enough. He knows how to survive, and he's a veteran. He knows how to move. He knows he has good timing still. Even with his last fight not stopping Barrios, I still think he looked decent enough to be able to probably beat Josh Taylor on cards, definitely. But again, that would actually be a good fight at the same time because it could go the opposite way. Keith Thurman is getting older. He's had some injuries. He's slowed down a lot since the Manny Pacquiao fight, and we saw that in the Barrios fight. So that would be kind of a 50-50 fight for me. Kell Brook, I don't know. I mean, he just fought Amir Khan in a fight that was 10 years or so overdue. So I can't really say where Kell Brook really is at this point, or what he wants to do. Well, I know what he wants to do. He says he can still bang with the best, but I don't know about that. So that's kind of up in the air. But yeah, so that's my feelings as far as Josh Taylor and his defense for the undisputed 140 championship. I didn't have him winning. I had a very close fight. But I mean, it is what it is. He had the ball rolling in this. It was in his court. So and Catterall, I just don't think he did enough to snatch it away. Unfortunately, I mean, I did. Obviously, I had him winning by a point, but that just wasn't enough for those judges. I'm not an official judge, so I can't. My say really doesn't mean much at the end of the day, So, but all in all, it was a pretty bad fight, a horrible fight in my opinion. So I'm glad I didn't watch it live. I mean, I kind of got to sit here, fast forward through the in between the rounds, so I didn't have to sit and wait and all that stuff because it was a pretty horrible fight, especially watching it with no sound. Just watching them hug it out for a good 75% of the fight, it seemed like. Yeah, it was like watching, I don't know, WWF or something. So and the referee was all over the place too. He didn't establish anything when it came to the holding on, the hugging and stuff. Like, they didn't take him seriously at all. So it's like, you gotta get a referee in there that's going to put his foot down on these dudes. Say, look, I'm just start taking points. I don't care how many points I gotta take, but y'all need to be fighting, not hugging it out. This ain't no reunion or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? So, but that was a whole nother thing. So bad judging, bad refereeing, pretty bad fight overall. So, anyways, that's how I feel about that one. So feel free. This is He's Not Getting Up, Jim. Boxing Talk. Subscribe, comment. Subscribe, comment, and like, and feel free to share. All right, I'm out. Peace.